Greetings, friend. I will show you how far Sudoku solving has come in the last 18 years by solving this Diabolical Sudoku from 2005 without guessing. This classic Sudoku is by Michael Mepham. In case you don't know who he was, he created Sudokus for the UK Daily Telegraph, and he was also a famous crossword compiler. He made a guide called Solving Sudoku where I found this puzzle, and he gives you a very specific thing on what to do at a certain point in the puzzle. I'm going to show you that here in just a second. Unfortunately, Michael passed away in 2006, less than a year after releasing this particular guide. But he did leave quite a mark on Sudoku community, and I appreciate all that he did, and I really enjoyed going through his solving guide. Click below if you want to give it a go. With that, it's solving time. So you can start this solve by using a little cross-hatching with these two 8s and this 8. You can solve for an 8 here in block 6. And then if you go and focus right here, you'll notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 9. This has to be a 7. And then we can continue working across row 7 here. Because of these two ones, the only place left for 1 in row 6 is right here. And then you have a 6 and 9. There's my 9 already in block 4. So there's your 9, and there's your 6. After that, you can look at these two 8s in columns 4 and 5 and realize there's the only place left for an 8 up here in block 2. And then let's look across row 7, and you'll see you have a 1, 3, 6, 7, 8. So you always want to look with at least 5 or more cells filled in and try to look for those restrictions. What you need is a 2, 4, 5, 9. Well, you see there's a 2, 4, and a 5 right here. So this has to be a 9. Okay, after solving that 9, then what you can see is that you have this 9 right here. Means the 9 can't be in any of the two cells, and these 9s form a pointing pair. All right, so pointing pair means that the 9s are restricted in block 2 to the same column, column 5. And so that means the 9s can't be anywhere else along column 5. So now that you have this 9 here, the pointing pair of 9s cover these two cells, and this 9 cutting across, you can actually solve this cell now for a 9. And you notice there's a 5 right here, so 5 can't be in either of those two cells. You can solve this for a 5, which leaves us with a 4, 7 naked pair in column 6, and a 2, 6 naked pair now in block 5. And we can keep on going with the 5s. You got 2 5s here in row 7 and 8. You got the 2 5s here in column 7. Now, whenever you have 4 of the same candidate looking into a block, then you know that you only have one possibility for where that candidate can go. So there's where your 5 goes in block 9. All right, after that, you might want to notice there's a 2 and a 4 missing here in row 7. Can we solve which one's a 2 and a 4? And the answer is yes, because you have this 4 coming down right here, means that you have a nice another 4 pointing pair. And so the 4 can't be in this cell because you have a pointing pair in block 6. So this has to be your 2, and that has to be your 4. After solving that 4, then we can look up here in column 9, and we can actually solve all this with a nice neat naked triple trick that I've shown in a previous video. You'll notice there's a 2 covers 2 of these cells, and then you have a 3 over here, and we need a 2, 3, 4. And so what we know is we can solve all 3 cells right away with this type of configuration, because this has to be your 4 because it can't be a 2 or 3. This has to be your 3, and then this last cell has to be a 2. In fact, I'll put a link to the original video where I showed that cool trick at the end. You do want to check it out. It'll help you solve Sudoku like this even better. All right, finishing up column 9, the next thing that we can look at is where can a 1 go here in block 9, right? We got, looks like a 1, 7, 8 missing. I got an 8 and a 7 right there. So this has to be your 1, and this is going to be a 7, 8 naked pair. I'm going to start filling in some of these because we'll need them for later on in the video. So again, Michael's getting you to this point where you can solve as many of these cells as possible using the normal 7 strategies. All right, after doing that, there's only one place for a 1 up here in block 3 because we just did that. And then there's one other place we can put a 1, and that's all the ones in the puzzle. All right, let's look at where the 9s can go. We got these two 9s here. I got a 9 in column 3, which means the only place left for 9 here in block 7. And then after solving that 9, where can a 9 go in row 3 here now? Well, it can't be here or here because of these two 9s, and it can't be here because of this 9, so this has to be your 9 in row 3. All right, after doing that, now we can focus on the 4s. I got these 2 4s in rows 2 and 3, this 4 right there, and this 4 in block 7. There's only place left for a 4 up here in block 1. And now we can look at the 8s. So you got these 2 8s in rows 2 and 3. This 8, there's only place left for an 8. And if you look at the 5, cutting 5's cutting across row 2. And then you got these 2 5s in columns 1 and 3. So the only place left for a 5 is right there. So we made a lot of progress there. You'll notice there's a 6 7 naked pair. I'm going to put that in. And we're doing well with this puzzle. But we're going to get to the point where we can't continue to find these easy solves. All right, we can, though, put a 5 up here in block 2 now, because we got this 5 and this 5, and the 5 coming up, column 5, so we can solve for 5 right there. And we got the 2 1s, and the only other candidate you can solve is now a 4. If you look right down here in block 8, you got this 4 cutting across, and you have this 4 cutting down column 4, so you know you can solve for 4 right there. All right, that's all you can get. And this is where the point where we get to the diagram in Mepham's diabolical puzzle. He rated this as diabolical. So let's fill out what the rest can do. Because at this point, if you're looking around, you're not going to find hidden naked singles. And so you would start filling in the grid and go, okay, there's only a 2 7 left in block 8. This has got to be a 2 6 8. And we can eliminate 6 from right there. We can eliminate the 8 from right there because what's already in the grid. This is a 2 3 7. And you'll notice we already have a 7 right there. So this 7, these 7s are a pointing pair. So this can't be a 7, but to finish column 2, we still need a 2 and a 3. These are pointing pairs, so you can't put the 7 up there. All right. And then you look right here, it looks like a 6 7 9. We already got a 7 up in row 1. So that's a 6 9. That's a 6 7 9. You go over here, this is going to be a 3 or a 6. All right, I'm getting to the point here, making the point of what Michael said and suggested to do back in 2005. This has to be a 3 6, and this is going to be a 3 4 and a 6 right there. What else do we have left? 2 6 7 8 in column 3. We already have an 8, so that's be a 2 6 7, and then look like 2 3 6 9. All of those are still possible in that cell, and this could only be a 3 6 or a 9. Okay, so this is Michael's guide that I'm showing you right now. And what he says when all else fails, you get to this point, you can't do any of the 7 top strategies. He says, I must emphasize this final strategy is reserved for the most difficult of the diabolical and occasionally tough puzzles when all else fails. And what he suggests you do is basically bifurcation and backtracking. So I'm going to show you what he suggests to do and then what else we can do now with the tools we know in solving Sudoku. So what he says is pick a cell, like this cell right here, and I'll mark it. This is a technique if you ever bifurcate. I don't advocate it, but if you're going to backtrack, you do want to mark which cell you're starting with, and we'll mark it purple. He says pick one of these values. Look for a bi-value cell, pick a value, and see if how much of the puzzle you can solve with that value. If you run into a contradiction, then you'll need to go back and try another puzzle. That's bifurcation. So that's a 6, that'd be a 7, that'd be a 6. This would be a 9, and then you could go, that's a 3, and that's a 6. This would be a 9 up there, which would make a 6 and a 9, which would make this a 7. We can get rid of the 6 and a 9 right there. You have the 2 3s. This would be a 6. All right, and this is just what he's suggesting with bifurcating, okay? And I'm getting to the point here of what he's going to. All right, 6, that would be a 2, which would make this a 3, this a 2, this a 3. And purposefully, I'm trying to solve as many cells as possible without getting a contradiction right now, in case you're wondering. And you can get pretty far in this. With this 7, that's a 4, that's a 7. Look across here with these 2 4s, that would be a 4. All right, and then down here with this 7, you got 2, a 7, 8, a 7, 8, 2. And then you could put a 6 right there. You notice so far we've not had any contradictions. But if you try to put anything in these 2 cells, you're going to get a contradiction. And what you can see in Sudoku Pad, it flags it for you. If you try to put a 6 right here, you're going to say, yeah, I already got a 6 in row 5. And if you probably put a 2, you can see there's multiple problems with 2. So we know that we've created a contradiction. Same thing if you go right here and you put in any of these values. So 3 is a contradiction right there, 4 right there, and a 6 right there. So what we can say is, that's not going to be a 6. And what Michael does, and I like the analogy he uses, he talks about Ariadne's thread. So the idea in Greek mythology, you had the hero Theseus, he's going into the Minotaur's lair, which is like a maze. It is a maze to slay the Minotaur, but he could easily get lost in the maze and may not be able to find his way back out. So Ariadne, who loves Theseus, gives him this thread, a long piece of thread. He's like, okay, as you go through the maze, roll the thread. If you get to a fork and you can make a choice, go one way, keep unrolling the thread. If you get to a dead end, roll the thread, follow the thread back to where you can choose another path. And so that's what Michael's telling us to do. He says, all right, go on back to the spot where you choose 6 or 9. And then you can choose a 9 and move on from there. And what I'll tell you is you just put a 9 here blindly, you're not going to be able to solve the rest of the puzzle with conventional methods. In fact, the conventional methods Michael puts in his solving guide will help you solve over 8% of these type of classic Sudoku puzzles. And I also have a solving guide where I show you those top 7 strategies: naked hidden single, naked hidden pair, claiming pair, pointing pair, and naked triple. And I also give you examples that you can try in YouTube Shorts in order to see if you got the correct answer and see it visually. If that sounds really great to you, click on the pin comment below and download my free Sudoku solving guide. But now I'm saying, what do we do about the other 20% of the puzzles you can't solve with those methods? And this is what Michael's saying. He's like, in 2005, he just suggested do the bifurcation. We can do better than that, though. We can find some advanced strategies that'll help you solve closer to 95 to 98% of these Sudoku puzzles, including this one. And the first strategy we want to start with is actually want to focus on, could we solve this with an advanced strategy? And the answer is yes. And it's a pretty cool strategy that you've probably seen before. Let's look at these 2 columns right here. All right. And I'm going to, for color's sake, I'm going to change the colors there. You'll notice that the 6s are limited to 2 spots here in column 4 and column 7. All right. And they share a column, or excuse me, they share a row, row 5. This is a Sudoku skyscraper, right? Because the tips are not in the same row, but they are in the same 3x3 band or belt, that you might call this. And what we know is that either this cell is a 6. If it's not a 6, this cell would have to be a 6, which is the only other place in column 7 for there to be a 6. This couldn't be a 6, and then this cell would have to be a 6. One of these yellow cells has to contain a 6. So we can eliminate a 6 from any cell that sees both of them. So by using an advanced strategy, and it's a pretty normal one that I solve regularly on this channel, you can find and figure out logically that that cannot contain a 6. We can get rid of that 6 and solve that for a 9. And if you're just not that familiar with how Sudoku skyscrapers work, I did do a tutorial on skyscrapers and X-Wings. I'll put a link to it right here. Check it out. And while you're at it, subscribe to Smart Hobbies, and you will solve advanced strategies like skyscrapers even better. And if you solve this 9, you can come over here and you can solve this for a 9. And that's about as far as you're going to get. I mean, you can eliminate the 9 from right there, but you're still going to get stuck again. And so what Michael suggests is you do another bifurcation, and you pick another by-value cell and do again. The problem with that, there's no satisfaction in knowing that you know how to actually solve the puzzle. But we can do that. We can find an advanced strategy that will logically help us solve the puzzle. And you get that satisfaction you need to now start solving 95, 98% of these puzzles. And these are strategies that weren't as popular or really well known back in 2005. And the next strategy you need, and this is the one I recommend will help you stop guessing and cure you of the bifurcation habit, is a XY chain. And when you have a lot of by-value cells, XY chain is usually something you're going to be able to use. Okay, XY chain. We're going to start here with a 6 and a 2. So either that is a 6. If it's not a 6, this would be a 2. And I'll run you through the logic. This would be a 7. This would be a 6. This would be a 7. And this cell would be a 6. So what we know and we can highlight this purple. Either this cell be a 6, it's not a 6, and it's a 2, this cell be a 6. So any candidate that sees both of these cells, you can eliminate a 6. So we can eliminate a 6 from this cell right there. All right, so let's get back here. Mark this up to make sure I didn't do any excess marking. We know that that cell cannot contain a 6. And now this cell up here cannot contain a 6 either. And since we did solve these 9s, you can actually solve this cell now for a 3. And now you see there's 3 in the corner getting your confetti on. All right? And this is huge. Also, we're going to be able to solve this cell for a 6 because this is the only place left for a 6 here in block 7. I love it. And if you're just not familiar how XY chains work, I actually call my tutorial how to solve Sudoku without guessing. Click on the link below and you can learn to solve these hard puzzles using XY chains. Now we solve this and get rid of these colors, and we can see where else this is going to take us. Now we know this is a 3 with certainty. Solve this for a 6, solve that for a 3. All right, solve this for a 3. Get rid of these 3s here. That's going to be a 4 or 6. Because of this 3 right here, this has to be a 2. And get rid of those 2s. This is going to be your 2 right there. Get rid of that as a 2. And we're going to move on with our solve. Because of this 3, here's your 7, here's your 3. Awesome. Now this has to be your 4, that has to be your 7. We're working right through these BVCs. This has got to be your 6. That's got to be your 2. And you see how easy it is actually to logically solve this puzzle. 8, and that's got to be a 2. And it's a nice puzzle. You know, you have nice advanced strategies. It's diabolical because you need those advanced strategies, but it's a pretty cool solve. And there's some other strategies you might be able to find. There's an X-wing if you look for it. There's another skyscraper. Hopefully you might be able to find as well. Other XY chains that would also eliminate candidates. And let me know what you find in the comments. Okay, we got just a few left because there's 6 already in column 5. This has got to be your 7. That's got to be your 6. This is your 7, and the last cell is a 6. You need to watch this other video if you want to solve more Sudokus without guessing. I thank you, Michael Mepham, for what you contribute to the world of Sudoku, and I thank you so much for watching.